It is the week of Monday, February 13th, and this is episode 134 of DuckTalks. Welcome to a new episode of DuckTalks. It's glad to be here behind the microphone. Let me see if I can turn this down a little bit more. Oh, I'll just get rid of all the audio. That's fine. That's fine. Hey, Pirate, what's up, man?
Ahoy there. We got stuff to talk about. We've been waiting for this Darkwing Duck comic to drop since we heard about it at San Diego Comic-Con. We got a nice treat with the Gargoyles release last month, and now we got some Darkwing Duck action. So definitely some fun DuckTalks worthy stuff for a show.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like it's been forever. I know I've done some editing and work on your all's new podcast, Lorcana Talks, which is part of Duck Talks now, and that's been really fun. Looking forward to hearing and seeing more from that. You guys are doing a great job with that, but we've not had a lot of information to cover for Duck Talks proper, and we've got some comic books we can talk about and pops. We got some Duck merch tonight.
Yeah, Duck merch.
Good times. The that's going to be the main point of this episode of the podcast. Speaking of which, let's go off on one of my tangents. Podcast. We hear you. You want the show back in podcast form. I'm working on it. I'm actually Lloyd from Res TV is helping me move everything over. We will be available again on your regular podcast format. We'll go back and put the episodes that have come out on YouTube only, but those will all go into podcast format so that you can listen to them at your pleasure. But YouTube is a great feature. It's a great way for us to be able to communicate and to do more things. Tonight we're going to be able to talk about things and put it on the screen for you to look at and for us to look at and to just all be on the same page. So I love that. But if you want to listen to it only, I want that to be out there. I love podcasts and listen to them all the time. And we'll get that out soon. We'll let you know when it's out there. Ran into some hiccups. We're going to get there, though. But we are here to mainly talk about this little thing, the new comic, the Darkwing Duck comic. I'm not going to try to get that in my light. Issue 1 that came out from Dynamite Comics. And we've been pretty excited about it ever since the announcement. There were some highs and lows in there. We thought we had done it and Save Darkwing had been successful, but things didn't quite go as the fandom may have wanted. And we're going to talk about that some. I know you all want us to talk about it. We were talking about it before. We were like, we got to talk about it. So we're going to. I know that when we first heard that it wasn't going to be Sparrow and Silvani, Aaron and James were not going to get to continue their story. Pretty crushed that they weren't going to get to continue their story because I've been looking forward to their story continuing ever since it ended just abruptly from Boom Studios. And Pirate, when I got into Disney Infinity, and I think it was you and I and maybe Josh and probably a few other people were talking about all the stuff we enjoyed from Disney growing up, and it was just Darkwing Duck and Darkwing Duck and Darkwing Duck. That was when I think one of you told me there were comics, and I got online and started looking for them, and I found the Definitively Dangerous edition when it was still like $25, and so I ordered one, and I love that story. I read those stories to my kids, and we've really enjoyed that book. And Boom Studios was announced by that time. I think we were where it had just happened or was about to happen. Those comics got me back into comics for a while. I think that was kind of true for you too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't collect the Boom individual issues, but yeah, that Definitively Dangerous edition, I was all over that pre-order as soon as they came out. And I believe I was at Disney Infinity Toy Box Summit, and it was just happened to be in California at D23 time. And I remember I brought my copy of the Definitively Dangerous edition for Aaron and James, who were in attendance, to sign. So
Oh,
I
that's cool.
was I was hyped about that.
Yeah, I met them much later Atlanta at DragonCon, and honestly one of the highlights of my con experiences. They're both exceptional men, and James is great. I love his art. I have several pieces from him. I know you do like several pieces every year from him.
Every year.
He just emails you and like, what do you want? It's getting close to time.
Yeah,
But
it's for Christmas commissions are opening up. What you got?
yeah,
Which I
so
did. The latest one I got was Peacemaker Darkwing Duck, which was a lot of fun.
yeah. But yeah, I really enjoy having conversations with him, and then Aaron too. I've met Aaron the one time he was in Atlanta, and that was great. And I've spoken with Aaron a lot. I love Aaron Sparrow. He's a great guy. Um, I hate that he didn't get to continue his story. As of now, I know a lot of people are kind of giving up on it, but as of now, he's not been able to tell the rest of his story. Um, so when we say that we enjoy this book, we don't want to take away from the fact that we're huge fans of Aaron and James, and I would go so far as to say more than fans. Um, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but when the announcement came that it was a new team working on the book, uh, we did reach out, and I spoke with Aaron and I let him know how bummed I was, but at the same time, Duck Talks, we're going to talk about a new book. We're going to cover it, and I didn't want him to feel like we were turncoats, right? We're still fans of his. We'll still promote what he's working on. We'll still talk about. I still want to have him on to talk about more Darkwing Duck stuff. We can talk about that reboot. Is that what they were calling it? That reboot that still hasn't happened or had any news of whatsoever since the story dropped conveniently.
Yeah.
Um, it just is what it is. But yeah, I'd like to talk about those things. With him, and I know he'd love to. I know he would come on and talk with us sometime. But we just wanted to make sure we said that because I know some of you all we've already felt it, we've already seen it, we've already had the conversations with people who they're loyalists and they're not going to do anything that's not James or Aaron, and I get that. I do. I struggled with it. I'm not going to lie. I struggled with it. I'm glad there's more Darkwing, but at the same time it wasn't what I wanted. And say exactly the same thing with Frank's pitch on Darkwing Duck and a continuation of DuckTales 2017. I wanted that so bad that really anything else is just like, but it's not what I wanted. And I think that's what a lot of people do when they go into the movie theater nowadays. They go in thinking there's something they want, and then when they don't get exactly what they want, it's horrible. And I'm not willing to do that. I will give it a chance, and I honestly have enjoyed this book.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing we got when DuckTales was rebooted in 2017. We heard it from the loyal comic fans of Barks and especially Rosa, um, about how they weren't going to give it a chance, that it sucked, they weren't going to even watch it, um, and uh, and then you hear it from the classic Disney Afternoon loyalists, who I don't know how you could be more Disney Afternoon than us, but they would swear up and down that it's not the 1987 original series, so it must be bad. I'm not going to support it. No one should support it. It's not great. And we're kind of like the opposite of this type of people. We're positive. We want to check everything out. Um, this is a completely new series of Darkwing Duck. Like we said, it's not a continuation of the old comics. This is the old comics, like it's old, but it's not a continuation of the Sparrow and Sylvani journey. But I hear we might get that eventually. That Aaron's just going to release it. But we wanted to give it a new chance, and we're honestly excited about it. And I think it's going to go in good direction. We're going to talk about the book when we go over it. But the way I see it is, it's kind of like it doesn't have the feel of straight from the animated series for me. I feel like it's like the new adventures of
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck in this modern time, and we'll talk about that in detail when we get into the book. But again, we love every iteration of the Darkwing Duck saga, and we hope everybody gives it a shot, and that's excited about it. That gets excited about it because it's some good stuff. It's 2023, and we have gargoyles and Darkwing Duck, and later we'll talk about the Scar Disney villain series that is also coming out. So Dynamite is definitely fan servicing us because we're getting all of our favorite things. And I'm thinking, like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, well, if they know what I'm already thinking, then there's probably Tailspin and Rescue Rangers and all this stuff in development, and even more Disney villains. And we're going to be taking on quite a ride with Dynamite Comics. And the hype train is here. Choo choo. So everyone hop on board now and enjoy these comics, or at least check them out.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody's doing something with the Disney license. That was, it was really frustrating coming off of DuckTales 2017 when IDW lost the license or dropped it or however that worked out, and nobody was doing anything, and we're no longer getting those Uncle Scrooge comics, no longer getting DuckTales. It had ended a little bit before then, and just like there's a market for these, and I just couldn't believe, because there's so many great stories out there that have been released, and I just want new stories from new creators. Not to say that I would, like, again, I wanted it, but new stories, DuckTales, more new DuckTales, more, and of course Frank's not going to write a comic book. So I realized that if we get more DuckTales, it's not going to be Frank's, right? It's not going to be Matt Youngberg writing a DuckTales comic. I don't see them doing it. They might get Tanner to work on it. I think Tanner would.
The
But
new Darkwing Duck series isn't going to be the old series, so it's everybody's gonna. This is a new generation of content, so we should enjoy it because it's out
yep.
there and it's really good. So
Yep. So talking about, because that's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with the new series, and I got a picture here of my poll from the other day. I did get my comics late, which is part of the reason why this podcast episode is late. I went the morning of to pick out my covers, and my store was closed, and I remembered that the owner was getting married and was in Florida, so I was a little bummed, but the next week I got there early, the first day he was back, and had a great conversation with him. He was hyped. He said this book was doing great. He had a ton of people who wanted it, and he had a ton of covers for me to go through. And I think all of them are on here that I got. I think I got 4. Yeah, I got 4 covers. So um, I originally, the one that I wanted, he didn't have, and I thought about ordering it online. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't have to buy all these covers. But I did get some that I really liked. I like, what's this artist's name? The cover A.
David Nakayama does the main A cover.
I wanted this. And this
Yeah.
is how well this book did in my store. This was the last copy of this cover that he had, and it's the main cover. So that tells me the book did pretty good, because this should have been the majority of what he got, right?
Yeah, I feel like the A cover usually is, and especially because I feel like it's a default as well for people that might order it. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people got that one, and I love that. I love that as well. I love comics, but I wasn't as following as much as I am now with the daily Gargoyles Darkwing Duck cover news.
Yeah.
But, which
There's
is
a
kind
lot
of
of it.
nonstop. Yes, it's a lot of covers. We'll go over that. But the I had not heard of David Nakayama before, and shame on me, because after I
Yeah.
Googled him and saw all of this cool Marvel and DC stuff, it's like, dang, that dude's talented and awesome, and I immediately became a fan of his. So he also does all the main cover A's for the Gargoyle series. So
And they're awesome.
it's cool to have him doing both of those. And unfortunately, he's only doing the first 2 issues of Darkwing Duck, but those are definitely ones to pick up for
Yeah, and
sure.
we'll show it here in a moment. That issue 2 cover is one of my favorites. Like I would like to have that on a poster or
Yeah.
something.
So
I picked this one up.
that one's cool too. Yeah, that is done by, I think the last name is Edgar, and Carlo Sid Loro, who's the guy who does the interiors, did the colors on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw his name on it, and
So
that's
that's
why I
cool. He's
got
on
it.
his Ratcatcher.
Yeah. And then I had to get this one because I collected the original miniseries last couple years ago
No, you
now.
got a great deal on that one.
Yeah. So I've got this one.
So I've learned all the terms. I could tell you I'm a pretty good comic expert now and all that. So that's the Modern Icon
Yes.
series, and then I got this one, which
I wanted
is
that one.
it's the Virgin of it. So this
Yeah.
is the without that purple dressing around the top of it. So
Now,
this is my
as
copy of that.
I wanted that one. That's the one I wanted. But as a tangent, I did get the Virgin Gargoyles, Joe Madureira. I think that's how you say the dude's name. I always called him Joe Mad. Um, I loved his run of Uncanny X-Men when I was a kid. That was, well, I guess I was in high school. That was my favorite X-Men artist by far. And I grew up in the Jim Lee era, and I love Jim Lee, but Joe Mad was just so dynamic with the X-Men. And I did not know he did a Gargoyles comic book. Like he did the interiors in that thing. Right? Isn't that true?
Now,
I think that's
Amanda
right.
Connor does the interiors for that one.
So he just did covers.
He did that cover, yes.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Well, I have that version now, and that book's being re-released, right? Isn't Dynamite doing that? The original
Yeah, the
series.
first facsimile, I can't believe I said it right the first time. Facsimile cover, the comic of both Gargoyles just came out.
Yeah,
So it pretty much has almost that exact same cover, and it has the 1995 Marvel Gargoyle series in it.
I didn't know that was already out. I got to call my guy.
Call him, man.
I got to
Get on
call
it.
him. So
And
I
then
couldn't leave this one.
the Darkwing facsimile edition comes out I believe March 1st.
Okay, so I
And
got to talk with him about
yeah,
both of those.
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is the was this the VHS
Video packaging, yes.
video packaging? That's what they called it. Be kind and rewind. So I had to get
Yeah.
that. That was fun. That was the one I put back, and I was like, I'm not going to get that one. It's like, but I kind of like it. And he was like, how many Darkwing Duck number ones do you think there's going to be? I was like, I hope you're right. But yeah, so I got
Yeah.
that, and I did get Gargoyles. I have not read Gargoyles yet, the new comic, because we are currently rewatching the series, and I want to wait till I get through the series. So I am picking up the comics, but I have not read them.
It's really good. And even if you haven't read the other comic books that came in between,
Oh yeah,
um, the Gargoyle series and this, they do a complete reintroduction almost in that first
okay,
issue. So um, yeah, and I believe it is really great. Greg Wiseman is the writer on it, and it just feels like a complete continuation of the characters and every, like the greatest comment you can make about, I feel like, anything that's adapted from a series is it's you read it in the characters' voices, and it seems like something straight from the show. So I'm a big fan of that, and I don't I don't think it's as limited as the Darkwing Duck series is. So Darkwing
right,
is going to be 6 issues, and I think Gargoyles is just until they stop selling a lot of them. And
yeah,
as we know from the first issue sold, I think it was like 170,000 or something like that. So
right,
crazy numbers for a Disney comic, Gargoyles.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, the series looks good. It does. Is the Marvel series counted as continuity? Like, is it canon?
I don't. No, I think the SLG comic series is the one that does the canon of it all.
What is the
Marvel's for
SLG
fun,
comic
just for
series?
fun. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do some research on this because I know that
Yeah,
there was a comic that was a continuation of, like, it was a actual
yeah.
continuation of the series, right?
And
Okay,
those are hard to find. Like in trade
are they?
paperbacks, they go for hundreds. So
So that's not the Marvel series.
no. So I'm looking forward
Ah,
to when those get reissued in
okay.
by Dynamite. But I'm hoping that those are trades. So because it's going to take a while to get the whole series out
Yeah.
to catch up.
Okay. Didn't know that. I thought the Marvel series that was coming out was the in between. So, okay, but good to know that I don't have to have it to move over from the original series.
Yeah.
Let's look at these covers, all these Darkwing Duck covers. Let me pull this up.
Yeah, so let's go over this. I consider myself to be a Darkwing Duck #1 cover expert in the field of science, whatever the bachelor's of arts would be for this. But yeah, so there are 68 covers in this cover gallery that is in the back of issue #1, and it shows all of the regular issues. There's like it seems like every issue is going to have at least 6 regular standard issues that you have to choose
Yeah.
from. And there's a couple that are like blank authentics issues where this is for you to get comic artist at or yourselves to draw your own cover to add to the many list of covers that they have here. If you don't see anything to your liking, you can have somebody else draw it for you. So there's like a purple one, an orange one, and a teal one, and a white one, and then you have almost every single cover has like a black and white version. And then other things I've learned, there's a purple line art version, and then and like we already went over there's a virgin cover would be a cover that has just the art on it and no trade dressing, and then there's the action figure art one, which looks like the Darkwing Duck Funko action figure, and I like that one a lot. And
Yeah.
that was done by the guy that the guy that does the interiors, Carlo, did a really great job on that. And I feel like if I had to recommend another one besides the standards that like a regular collector would want, I think the action figure ones would be cool because at the end of this you'll have a couple of those. And they also do a Gargoyles action figure one that looks like the old Kenner action figures.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really cool. And yeah, just it's kind of overwhelming with the amount of covers because, like I said, there's 68 of them in here, and as much as I love Darkwing Duck, I don't think I could tackle and get all of them.
Yeah.
Um,
What wasn't there some more exclusives and they ended up in the
they're very
70s?
yeah. So there's in addition to all these, a lot of comic book shops will order a couple thousand or we'll order a batch of them, not 1,000 because that's a lot.
Mhm.
But they'll do store exclusives where they have their local artist or their artist friend draw
Yeah.
a something that's exclusive to their store. Which usually they have like 350 or 750 limited run of those. And I bought a couple of them because I thought they were really cool tributes to other Marvel covers and things that I like. So
Yeah.
those are really cool. And do we have other pages of this?
Yeah, we do. I just wanted to say the ones that I wanted the most were mainly just because of the comic itself. I always like to have covers done by the interior artist, and Carlo does have a couple of covers that I really like. The action figure one being one of them, but I also like that one he did. I think it's like cover G. It's the one with where is
Megavolt.
it? Yeah, him and Megavolt, which they also I just noticed they also did one that was a virgin cover of it.
Yeah, and I would say
Um,
that's like the only cover that has anything to do with this issue,
yeah,
of what's going on inside. So I really dig that one as well, and I feel like, and this is just from my knowledge of just following the fan bases and the reviews and everything. I feel like the most popular ones, like you said before, cover A is usually really popular,
mhm,
and I do think it kind of looks like the Beast Kingdom Darkwing Duck figure, sort of like it's like the
that's
off
true.
model. I thought that was really cool, but I'm sure that's not what he was going for. Um,
It does look like it though. Now that you've
yeah,
said that.
and then I like the cover D of the first issue, which is done by Trish Forstner. Uh,
Yeah.
she she's very consistent. We the first 4 issues of Darkwing Duck in the previews catalog, you can kind of you can see all the issues up through issue 4, and like I said, there's 6 of them. Trish definitely has the most consistent covers through the first 4 issues, and I'm sure through 5 and 6 as well. Her covers definitely look like something straight out of the television series,
Yeah.
classic television series. And this one has Morgana on it, so I thought that was a very popular one as well. And again, the third one would be Carlo's Megavolt one, because I feel like Darkwing Duck is awesome, but his rogue gallery is just so funny and great. So it's good to see a villain on the cover of one of them, because I feel like we're looking at some of these now, and most of the people who got the assignment to do the covers were like, "Hey, draw Darkwing Duck," and they're like, "Oh, sweet, Batman on a gargoyle," and that's what I'm going
Disney
with.
Duck.
Yeah,
A
so
Disney Duck Batman is what they went for.
yeah, so there's several that have gargoyles in it, and I can't, do we even remember how many? Was there ever an issue or something with him with gargoyles on it? Because you would think that was his favorite thing if you looked at all these
Oh,
issues covers.
yeah. Yeah, it is. I don't know. Maybe everybody saw that recent statue and they were like, "Oh, that's his
Yeah,
thing."
it's the QMX one, which when we look at the comic, we'll look at the first page and it's straight from the QMX.
Yeah.
There's also one. Double Midnight Comics has a exclusive store cover, and it's Darkwing Duck just like jumping off a building, and I want to know how that ended because he's a duck, but he can't fly, and I'm hoping he landed on something. But besides that, yeah, Trish Forstner has a second cover that is a Secret Wars tribute, and
That's a favorite.
I
I knew
love
there was
that
no
one.
chance I was going to get that one, but that is definitely a favorite.
It's still available. You have to get it through Bird City Comics, and it only run you about $15. But
That's not too bad.
it's totally cool. I hope to meet her one day and have her sign that one. Um, but yeah, there's some other ones like, and I know in my review of the comic, my official review, I went hard on some of these, but I didn't call them out. Maybe I'll call them out now. Like there's one of them that went for a realistic Darkwing Duck, and like he has like a hand instead of like
Oh,
feathers.
yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, what were they? Well, I don't. An artist subjective, so I'm sure this could be somebody else's favorite out there.
Yeah.
I just, it, as somebody that usually feels like they need to have everything, I think when I saw that and I got to the point where I decided I didn't need all the covers.
Right.
But David Nakayama, the guy we love from the first one, main cover A, did a Spawn homage cover,
And it's awesome.
which is really cool.
Yeah. And there's
And
like 4
yeah,
versions of it.
yeah, and if you look at all of them, like there's a Marco Mastraza cover in the top left of we're looking at right now. He did one, and there's a Virgin, there's a black and white one, and I noticed that there was a MegaCon icon in that image. So that's going to actually be an exclusive comic at a convention I'm going to in March.
The black and white one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then I feel like I've said my favorite cover for a lot of these, but the Clayton Crane comic cover, which was extremely limited, exclusive, and his fans are just ravenous as far as hitting up that website and buying it. That's the only one I really had to pay top dollar for. That sold out, but
it's a really cool cover too. Though
I bought more. You showed off some of your covers. I had a little less self control than you on that. I bought a lot. I don't even know if I should say how many. Because I think I still have like 3 more shipments or something. But I'm kind of treating it like they're like baseball cards. I used to collect baseball cards in the 80s and 90s, and Will Clark was my favorite player, and I still have in my closet just boxes of his individual cards. So that's what this is kind of like for me. These Darkwing Duck, they're like baseball cards. I'm gonna flip through them every now and then, I'll look at them, and and appreciate the art. And yeah, there you go, Darkwing Duck number one.
I did Marvel Universe cards for I guess all the years that they did those, and I still have them put up somewhere for no reason. They're not worth anything, I'm sure, but the artwork on some of them were really cool, and some of them were artist specific. But one thing that I remember that they did in the '90s was, especially with like the Jim Lee covers for X-Men. I remember they did a poster book of just those covers, and that would be
Yeah,
awesome. I would buy a book with all the covers in it. I'd buy that.
yeah. I'm sure once the series is concluded, they'll probably come out with a trade paperback or hardback
Oh
that
yeah,
has
put them
all
in there.
six
That's true.
issues, and then you'll get a cover gallery. Like everyone, issue one, issue two, everything has the complete cover gallery in the back of them. So
Yeah,
there was total. I'm keeping count 71 for this first issue because there was a couple that
71.
weren't in that cover gallery, but um,
That's crazy.
it's making money. So
Yeah.
I think 109,000 was the reported um,
I,
for this issue, which I think that's pretty significant because Marvel and DC Comics have most of the share. Like you go in a comic store and that gets all the space and that's what sells. But I remember back in the day when the Joe Books Darkwing Duck series was there, and I was the only one on the pull list at my local shop. So she was ordering it just for me, and
yeah.
I think at least 1 month she forgot to order it because I was the only one. But
Yeah, I had that happen to me too.
yeah, but this one she sold 65 of Darkwing
Oh,
Duck
that's cool.
issues the first week, and went back the second week, and she reordered more, so there was more on the shelves. When I
Yeah.
was picking up something else, and I was like, they look lonely. I'm going to buy them too. So
Well, and that's what I was about to say. I may end up there, and I'm sure there's some that he's gotten some people's pulls because I know he had them in people's pulls at my local store. So there may be some covers that I missed out on that I'll get a second chance at if they don't come get them or choose not come get them, but choose not to take them.
yeah, so we'll definitely see when they announce, or I don't know if they announced it. We're gonna have to find where the best place to get the sales numbers are, but we'll see
Yeah,
what Darkwing Duck number 2 sells
that'll
because
be the big
we
tell.
know 109,000. There's gonna be kind of like you see a movie the first week and then it drops
Yep.
significantly the second issue. There was 71 different comic covers,
Hmm.
um, and people buying multiples of the same comic. I mean,
Yeah.
whoever thought about variants is a genius that you can get somebody to buy the same thing X
Yeah.
amount of times. But we'll see how many people buy for the second issue.
I
Um,
don't know if it still is, but X-Men #1 was like the longest running had the record for the longest run, and that was because they had like 20 covers. Even like there
yeah.
was, remember, it was the one that they all fit together and formed a
Yes.
huge
Yes.
image, and then they even put out a because comics back then were on the newspaper type paper, like, well, they weren't newspaper type, but
Oh
just a
yeah.
step above that. But then they put out the trade version of it that unfolded and unfolded and had all the covers, and it had the slick paper, which you never found in a comic back then, and all that. So that book was the most sold for the longest time, and I think that kicked off the variant cover.
Because
I'm sure it happened before that, but
we were talking before about the different covers, and like there's foil covers, and with Dynamite they even make a metal cover where the cover is just made of metal, and it's like I think it's like $100, but
wow,
it's if you wanted to have the definitive version, the definitive Darkwing Duck #1 issue, the metal one would probably be the cool one to have.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's so many variants, and I'm usually a trade paperback type of person. It's cool to have all of everything in that one little book, but
Yeah, and
I've
it sits on a shelf.
it's just good, it's good to support. I mean, we're thankful that Dynamite's actually making stuff that we want to buy,
Mhm.
and it's good that people are getting out there and buying the issue by issues. to help support it, because these are the numbers that they're going to go by to see, hey, well, they finished that 6-story arc. Do we want to make another 6-story arc or whatever?
Yeah.
It's all dependent on how well I feel like issue 2, 3, and 4 sell.
Yeah, it will. I feel like it being a limited series or a mini series, whichever term is the official. I feel that that does help it, boost it, and I think issue 2 will do all right. It's going to drop. It's not going to see 109. I don't think many books would ever keep. Then again, that issue 2 typically does become more valuable, or at least 90s thought process. The issue 2s were if you can find
Yeah,
issue 2 of any comic that came out in the 90s, that's the one that's worth money, not issue 1,
yeah, and
because
we'll give
everybody
a
got issue 1.
preview. We'll give a preview what issue number 2 is going to be after we get into number 1. So,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about that now, or do we have anything else we want to talk about comic wise?
Well, before we get into one, let's go ahead and put all the cards on the table and share our biasness of this. Um, Yeah, there's a little bit of biasness from DuckTalks for this book. there's, I will say that we knew this was coming, but not like way ahead of time. But we found out about it. I guess we found out about it when the previews came out, wasn't it? Isn't that when we first saw it?
I was at a gas station, and I don't know if y'all know how Duck Talks runs, but it's nonstop me on my phone. And I was pumping gas on my phone. I don't know, isn't there? You're not supposed to do that, but
I think that's a thing.
yeah, I've seen signs that say don't do that. But I guess I found on a Darkwing Duck Facebook page somebody had posted pictures that one of the many media sites had released of hey, check out these preview shots of the interiors of Darkwing Duck, and I feel like people were really excited about it, because, like I said, the covers, people either loved it and thought it was going to be good series, or they were kind of iffy on it because it didn't look like the Darkwing that Duck. It was all interpreted in that artist's renderings of what they thought
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck was. So people were excited about the interior. So I'm flipping through the interiors, and I'm like, is that a duck wearing a pirate hat? What is that do? What is that doing in St. Canard? And when I realized that's my Pirate Steven duck, that our new friend Carlos Sidloro put in the comic, I immediately texted Mitch and Josh and said, "Dude, is this comic going to be released anytime soon? Because I kind of want it right now."
Yeah, and I think initially there was only like the one page when it very first came out. It was a few days later before we had more
Yeah, it just
pages.
happens to be this is the preview pages, and
Yeah.
uh, that's when I went from having 6 copies ordered to like 30. And this is
I mean,
all
it makes
I
sense.
was only going to buy like 6, but it's kind of like the thing where, oh, your name is in a newspaper. Let me get all the newspaper, like, or something's in the newspaper. I'm buying all the newspapers at this newsstand, handing them out
Yeah.
to everybody now. But is one of the coolest oh wow moments for me to have my character in a Darkwing Duck comic, yet let alone Darkwing Duck #1.
Yeah.
And I'm officially a St. Canard resident in that. So this is coming from the person that won a chance to be in Disney Infinity, the video game, and it was
Right.
going to be the greatest thing of my life. And then they canceled the video game like a month or 2 before it was going to be in the game. So
It
I went
was
from having the crushing moment of Pirate Steven not being in my favorite video game to now being a background character in the Darkwing Duck comic series. So thank you, Carlo Sidloro, for including me in this journey. I think it's awesome. Yeah, but then we noticed the second page, and Mitch looked at it and goes, "Hey, wait a minute, that character kind of looks like me."
Yeah, and now the thing about this is, if it is, I think it's actually me and not my duck persona, because it does it. I mean, it reminded me of me, and then the other guy reminded me of Josh, and I was like, it might be. So, no confirmation, no discussion, but up here in the on the second page, the top panel, the dude with the glasses and the guy with the blonde hair. Maybe I don't know, but there is without a doubt Pirate Stevens in this book.
Oh, it's awesome, man. I
And
love that, but even though that has happened, we're going to give the comics a 100% fair review, like we do everything else. No brownie
yes.
points here. But I did buy 30 copies of this book and a digital copy.
Yeah, of course, and hoping to meet Carlos sometime. Absolutely, would
Absolutely.
love to
Carlo
get a
lives in
signature.
Italy.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna have to fly out there or something. Or maybe MegaCon or some other he should come out
bring him
here.
out. Yeah, Dragon Con does that. They have international guests all the time, so that would be very cool. Maybe they put him next to Don Rosa, and that'd be my entire day.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Don Rosa is not gonna be at MegaCon, but I kind of want to ask him if he could draw me a Darkwing Duck. You think he would hit me?
I don't know.
And
I don't.
not in a teasing way. I just want to see what his style Darkwing Duck would look like, or Launchpad.
Yeah, I would too. I don't think he would
I
do
need
it.
it for my Darkwing Duck wall. No, he would hate it. He would hate it. I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
it.
So I was there when there was an instance where someone wanted him to sign a pop, and it was the DuckTales blue coat Scrooge, and he was like, "I didn't work on that character." He's like, so he wouldn't sign it. But that's signing. He's like, that's not fair to the creators of that character. That's not my character, and he was like, I can't do it. Um, Doing a drawing, maybe. I mean, he's got all those Marvel covers that
We
that
could
he
talk
did.
about Don and his his love for DuckTales all day long. Let's get back to the issue at hand because
Yeah.
we don't want to make this a 3-hour podcast.
Oh,
Um,
of course.
let's talk
Oh
about
wow, we're
Darkwing
already at
Duck
40 minutes.
number one.
Yeah, it's a great comic. I meant to have it open already, but
Yeah, we both bought the digital copies. One
yes,
because your comic book store was
it's
closed for like
closed.
the week of the thing, and I didn't want to wait. It's cool if you buy the digital copy at midnight on the release day, you just get it,
Yeah.
and it goes in. And I like that when, like I said, 30 copies. I
Well,
want to keep them in
31
good
because you bought the
condition.
digital.
I want to keep them in great condition. So
Yeah,
I don't want to handle and touch them a lot. So the digital copy is really convenient and nice to flip through.
yeah,
And the other cool thing, because I had some Amazon credit from doing the if you don't need your item right away, they'll give you $1 digital. So I had some of
yeah.
that stored up from Christmas. So digital
Well,
copy it is.
well, the book, we want to make sure that we bring up that the script is by Amanda Diebert, and the we've already spoken about Carlo being the artist and colors. Uh, when you first open it up, that image that is on there got me excited right away because the one of Darkwing just inside the cover. But I will say that when I turned to the next page, I was disappointed in the title. um, I don't know. I think there's some really great titles that probably could have come out of this book, and I don't know. I almost imagine this was somebody in marketing was like, you should do this, and that became the title. I don't know. But the Dark Flight Returns, not my favorite title, but I'm not going to judge the book solely on that.
Well, also the Dark Knight Returns or the Dark Duck Returns has been used
Yeah,
by other
a few
people.
times.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of weird there, but also I don't know why my mind went to Dark Flight and I thought of like a flight of beers, which is totally
Okay.
not in the story at all. There's no
You're right.
beers in this
Doesn't
story,
work. Yeah.
but Yeah, I wasn't digging the title completely.
Yeah, and then the gargoyles are
Yeah,
familiar.
you look at this image from this first page, and the gargoyles. So Carla was able to make the gargoyles from the QMX figure relevant because
Yep.
that wasn't really in anything like it was before. So now it's in this comic book.
Yeah, I like it. It's like an Easter egg
Yeah,
that you have because I have the figure, so I can put the figure to the comic now.
everybody out there should have the figure,
Yeah,
especially
and the
because it doesn't seem like QMX makes Q figs anymore. So
oh really?
they're on sale constantly. So you should
Oh
pick up that one. There's also a Negaduck one and Demona and Goliath from Gargoyle. So,
yeah, those were
um,
cool figures, all of
oh
them.
yeah, yeah, $20.
Yeah. So and we do get some Saint Canard in the background, and it looks great. I've got mine set on to where it's going panel by panel, so I got to turn that off. There was some, and we're going to talk about it. There was some early conversations. I'll be honest. When I first saw the previews, the first few pages, I was like, some of this looks very, very familiar. Some of this is stock images, not stock images like copy and paste, but some of it's poses I've seen in episodes. I feel, and it there's a lot of the poses and stuff at the very beginning of the book that are familiar. And I we had already had a couple conversations with Carlo online, and we'd already seen some of his work. We'd looked at his portfolio online and loved a lot of his work. So I knew he was talented. I knew he could pull the book. I knew he could do a good job with it. I knew it'd be a different look than what we were used to, but something kind of reminiscent of the series, but new. Which is what I don't want to compare. I'm not going to compare, but I feel like he's got a good look. But when I saw that, I was like, oh no, how's this going to go? And the guy's so nice. I don't know if you're listening to this, I don't know if you've ever followed him or interacted with him, but he's one of the nicest guys I've ever talked to online. I mean, um, so I was a little worried, and I messaged Pirate immediately. I was like, "Have you seen all this?"
Yeah,
And there's been controversy about it.
yeah, and some of them look like model sheets from the
Yeah,
series and all. But I also feel like this was like a tune up, his first
yeah,
comics, and getting trying to draw Darkwing and James Silvani being the previous person that has drawn Darkwing, and you're not going to get a better Darkwing Duck than James Silvani draws. So I feel like the best panels in this comic are when he went completely original
yeah. I
and did
agree.
his own Darkwing Duck thing. And
And it happens very quickly. So I don't want it to sound like it's the entire book. I don't think it's the entire book. It's just the
no,
first few images. But once you get to, it's not very far. You start seeing some original poses and expressions, and and even his Allison is kind of a new take on a new character that some of us are familiar with from DuckTales 2017. But I feel like he does a really great job once he breaks away, and I feel like some of those images they're great. I mean, if we were looking at fan art, we would all love it, right? If we saw someone post that. So it's not that it's bad and or that it's I definitely not just a copy and paste, but I love when he starts to branch off and do his own thing because I've seen it in his art. His art's awesome. His DuckTales 2017 art's cool. He's got some other stuff out there. You can check it out. Go to follow him online. You see his art. It's very good. And very quickly in this comic, that stops and I got into the story. And we got Herb very early.
yeah. So the story goes where Darkwing Duck is getting a ceremonial statue
Mm-hmm.
dedicated to him, which we don't see the statue by the end of it. So I was kind of like, I wanted to see what it looked like, but it's
Right.
under the maybe we'll see it by the second issue or third issue, etc. But he's very excited about the statue of himself because we know Darkwing. If there's anybody that's a fan of Darkwing, that's more than us. It's Darkwing
It's Darkwing.
himself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's late for the ceremony. He goes there, and Amanda does this really funny thing where um, he starts off by Drake does not want her to Goslin to have a cell phone,
Yeah,
and one of
which
the
is
funny.
relatable for fathers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My kids were asking for cell phones from the earliest of ages, and finally had to give in this year. But it turns out that everybody this at this ceremony has a cell phone, and that's when you really it clicks to you. This is
Yep.
modern Darkwing Duck series. Um, this is not in 1990 something.
Right.
Um, and then we see Mayor Olson is there, and like we said, we love that Duck. Like this comic is going to include everything that they could possibly get approval to get in there. I'm sure, and they couldn't get the theme song approval, but they got Mayor Olson approval to get her in this. So I think it's really
Oh
cool.
wait, so when they do that later in the issue, that was due to
Yeah,
that was
I
due
heard
to
another
law. It
interview.
wasn't.
Yeah, I heard another interview where they said they couldn't use the word, so that they kind of come up with this like
Wow.
this. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's fun. I thought it was intentional. I thought they were just
Maybe a
riffing
little bit of
on.
both.
Yeah,
We know how the
yeah,
Disney lawyers are and the licenses and all that.
yeah.
But yeah. So he's at the ceremony, and um, Herb comes and gives his like dedication, which is funny. Who doesn't love some Herb content in the first issue?
Yeah,
And
you
he's
got
on
those
several
Molefoot's.
pages too.
Yeah.
So it turns out every Megavolt happens to show up, and it turns out everybody that had a cell phone in their hands when he was there is now under his power. And luckily, Darkwing throws his phone to Herb to take a picture of his good side, which is everything is his good side.
Right.
And so everybody's like it turns into the zombie, including Pirate Steven. And then you see Megavolt in his car, which is a cool throwback. Um, but yeah, it turns out that Launchpad is able to come save Darkwing from the horde of zombies, including Herb. And it turns out later, which I thought was another funny joke that made me laugh, that Launchpad was able to not be a zombie because his battery died.
Right.
And
Also relatable.
very relatable. And the funny follow up joke that Amanda wrote was that Darkwing gets mad at him because your battery died. Well, that means you didn't get anything on
You're
video
supposed
of
to be
my
filming it. Yeah.
ceremony. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got some Gosselin and Honker going on, and it's really good. The art's good on that. I thought their little side story was, you know, the they were ready to jump in there and take care of things whatever way was necessary. It did end up with a wardrobe change and some hair dye, all
Yeah,
real quick, but
looks like a Billie Eilish type
yeah.
Goslin, which I'm sure will be relatable.
Hmm.
And then I thought the Megavolt looked really great.
Yes.
Carlo's sketches of that, and then there's a plane chase, the dark flight through the Saint Bernard, as you will, and
Oh,
yeah,
so the title was connected somewhere.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing. You would think, but
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
there's
I mean, you've sold me.
got right. So there's a couple of pages with the Thunderquack, and I like all of that artwork that Carlo did with that.
And the
And
Thunderquack has a secondary mode.
yeah, it's water.
Turns into a boat. I wonder if it also has wheels and it can become a car.
It could be, yeah. And I remember in previous series, the rat catcher in James and Aaron's the rat catcher had like a float in water
Yeah.
vehicle type. But yeah, Thunderquack. Who knew? Water. But yeah, it's cool. Darkwing gets out of the plane, which wouldn't recommend ever leaving a plane vehicle when Launchpad's flying it. But yeah,
Well,
very good action scenes.
but this is Darkwing Launchpad, who is a capable pilot.
That's true. That is
He's not
true.
he's not DuckTales Launchpad,
It still
who's
crashes
good at
though.
crashing. He does still crash. Yeah. So yeah, and the that riff that they during that whole performance joke, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was hilarious. I find it very interesting if it was forced in because they couldn't get the
We'll have
lawyers
to ask
to sign
Amanda if
off.
that's if that's all
Yeah.
they mean.
Well, and even if it was one of those things where they were waiting on it and they were like, "Well, just forget about it. We'll put something in there." That's still a fun story. Um, but yeah, I mean everything works out. We got a moment where we think Darkwing's done for, but of course Darkwing gets back up. And overall, I really enjoyed the story. I mean, it wasn't anything. It's kind of hard not to compare it to the opening of the Duck Knight, because that story really just kind of jumps in there and it throws a bunch of curveballs at you, and this is not that. It doesn't do that. But it does tell a complete story, catches you up to the characters, introduces you to the characters. I felt like it was good. I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the second issue.
Yeah, and I think with Amanda's story, it's not like she went from the beginning and says, "Hey, this is Darkwing Duck, also Drake
Yeah.
Mallard. This is his friend Launchpad, and he has a daughter
Right.
named Goslin." Like they respected the audience to know that we don't need a whole issue introducing each
Yeah.
character and going into detail their life story. There's Disney Plus for that. But yeah, I thought it was a good first issue. I love Megavolt being in it. I
Hmm.
like we talked about. The art got really good in this issue, and I love the coloring of it. I feel like the whole issue was just bright and vibrant, and I like you. I'm looking forward to issue number 2. I don't know. I'm playing with my iPad here, and all the it closed on me.
Oh no. Well, I was going to pull this up. This is issue number 2 is already, it's coming close. I should have had the date. Don't you have the date?
It's yeah.
Because it got
The
moved.
cool thing about the Darkwing Duck #1 release was that Gargoyles released their #2 issue on the same day. So it's kind of like a Disney afternoon party at your comic shop. Go get
Yeah.
one, you get the other. Not for free, but not even a deal, even. But go pick up both of them.
Right.
And they kind of doing that with, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but Darkwing Duck #2 is coming out the same day as Gargoyles #3, which is February 22nd, 222 day. And yeah, it looks really good. As we're looking on the screen right now, David Nakayama has the main cover A design for this one as well, and there's a bunch of rubber duckies just falling out of the sky on them.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like a solid cover of this group. And we know the villain is going to be Quackerjack, so very good storyline. I feel like coming for issue #2, and I just feel like this is a series that's just going to keep getting better issue by issue, and by the time the 6th issue comes out, we're not going to want it to end. So hopefully the sales are high enough where they can continue what they're doing.
Yeah. I was going to pull. Let me do this real quick.
I was also going to say about Amanda. If you go to her her IMDb or equivalent, like you look at her credits, and it's kind of looks like if you're looking at Jim Cummings on IMDb with all the stuff that he's done. She's worked on so many different like Disney, Marvel, Star Wars
Yeah.
type stuff that we would dig. So I'm sure there's other stuff. If you like this, you could probably pick up some of her other stuff.
I was going to mention Dynamite already has a preview up for issue 2.
Yeah.
So you can go on their website and look at that. But I did notice earlier today we've got a
That
reoccurring
guy.
character right here.
That is a yes. That's a recurring Pirate Steven character.
Uh
I don't know if I'd
Which and
wear that
we
outfit. That he kind of looks like Marty McFly walking around.
I was going to say the same thing. You've got a vest on.
And then there's another character on the other side that looks kind of like
Looks like
Carlos
Carlo.
Deloro. Yeah. So there's hidden stuff all over the place. But yeah, the storyline involving Quackerjack looks and toys is kind of what we've seen in this preview of issue 2, which, like I said, comes out next week. And said that about like 6 times. It looks fun. It looks fun. Like
Yeah.
I feel like we're going up from here.
Yeah. Yeah, the interiors look really great. There's some really great expressive expressions. That's redundant. In this, and I really like it. I think it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to this issue coming out. So it's definitely a series that I'm going to follow the rest of the way through.
Yeah, it's amazing that so you look at I had not done or bought anything from Dynamite Comics before
No.
Gargoyles. So, and if you Google them, it's all like Vampirella and Draculina and like covers of these characters that are provocative poses, etc. But
Yeah.
not like anything like these Disney comics are introducing comics into Dynamite's
Yeah.
catalog of stuff for all ages, really. So Gargoyles is going to bring more kids to check out Gargoyles and Darkwing, and we found out that Scar is going to be like a Disney villain series,
Yep.
which is going to be all these things are up my alley. So if you told me that I was in 2023, I was going to have a Gargoyles, Darkwing Duck, and Scar Disney villain series, I'd be like, dude, let's just go to that timeline right away so I can read all these books. And Scar's going to be a 4-issue series, so a little bit less than Darkwing. But it's a Disney villain series, so my
They're going
guess
to
is they're
continue
going to
with
go.
other villains.
Yeah, because Dark Horse originally had that license and that idea. They were going to do a Ursula Disney villain series, so I'm guessing these are going to kind of be like in their point of view, like they're the real heroes, etc. Type of
Yeah.
books.
What is Scar saying in this? Is it a crown?
It's a crown, and I'm sure he's saying I should be king or whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
he'll sing. Maybe he'll sing. I just can't wait to be king in his own little version. But yeah, he's such a great villain.
Yes.
And if you didn't know, a little tidbit: Jim Cummings actually sung the voice of Darkwing Duck. Sung "Be Prepared" in The Lion King.
One of the best villain songs, in my opinion.
Heck yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And the other thing I noted, because I'm actually a previews catalog person now that we're covering all this Dynamite, Darkwing Duck, Gargoyle stuff. Scar isn't coming to trade paperback, it says in the catalog, until summer of 2025. So they're letting you know right away, if you were one of the people that wanted to read this, you should buy the individual issues because they're not going to release it until that future date. But I'm also trying to put 2 and 2 together and think, well, maybe that's because the trade paperback or whatever they come out is gonna have several Disney villain stories in it. Maybe.
Oh, because there's only 4 issues.
Yeah.
That
So maybe it'll be a Scar Hades one, or whoever they pick to be the next series. But I like Dynamite Comics now, and it seems like, because I follow like their editor and etc., and they're always asking for, hey, send us their portfolios. We need people for interiors, and we need more cover artists, because Dynamite loves to release 70 to 80 covers per issue, it seems like. So I've been sending all my contacts, telling them, hey, Brian Danger, you need to apply for this, and Lisette, you need to
Yep.
apply for this. And they really should listen to us because
Yeah.
we have some really talented friends out there.
You
That
know,
could
if they
really
put out those covers, I would have to buy them wherever they were released.
multiples. Yeah, I'd buy the
Yeah.
foil, the metal. We need the metal
Yeah.
of
You
Brian
put a
and
Brian Danger cover out there?
oh my god, yeah, absolutely. Give Lisette her own Tailspin
Yes.
or Rescue Ranger series. Might give her Mighty
Oh,
Ducks.
Mighty Ducks.
It'd be a
She's
four
already
mini.
got the story.
It'd be like a four mini series comic. I feel like, but yeah,
I
give her
pulled up
that.
Dynamite's page for the Disney villain Scar, and there's nothing on there yet. So, covers the only thing we've seen. There are a few covers out there in the wild that you can see on the
Yeah, it's
internet.
gonna come out in April. Um, so yeah, it looks. I would get it. I'm gonna get it.
I'm going to get it. All right, we're already an hour in. Let's get some duck merch covered and get off here. Uh, why is it not? There we go. We also had some pops come out, some Darkwing Duck pops. This is a new mold for the character. They, of course, did a chase of Negaduck. Now, the previous Darkwing Duck, it wasn't a chase. Negaduck was just limited. It was only
Yeah,
released by Previews World. Is that what
yeah,
Previews?
yeah. It was a
Um,
previews exclusive.
so you could get it. You just had to get it through them, or somebody had to get it for you through them.
Yeah, and I've been very Funko constraint in my heart of not because I was going crazy at one point just buying on everything.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of limiting myself to maybe Donald Duck and Disney Afternoon stuff. So it had been a while.
The
So
last pops I bought were the Donald and Daisy Christmas pops,
those are
and
solid. I did order
they are.
the candy corn Donald Funko Pop, which was supposed to be for Halloween, which still
Yeah,
hasn't come out yet.
no kidding.
No, it's not.
Well, remember my Christmas Donald didn't come in before Christmas. We didn't get it until New Year.
Man, the
But we had
production, toy
Daisy.
production
Daisy
is
came in.
just crazy with
Yeah.
schedules. But yeah, this was a Funko shop exclusive / eBay exclusive, and I believe it's
So it was
sold
a
out on
Funko
Funko Shop.
shop on eBay.
Yeah, but then they also put on the Funko shops on
Oh,
their
okay.
real Funko shop, but it's sold out there.
Okay.
But yeah, 1 in 6 chance of getting Negaduck, which I ordered 2. I got
You were
I got
limited to
2.
2.
Yeah, we were limited to not on Funko's website, but on eBay we were limited to.
Oh, okay.
And I got Darkwing Duck, which obviously I wanted Darkwing Duck, but
Right.
it would have been nice to get the Negaduck. But also that gives me one to put in a box, and maybe I'll get Jim to sign this, or maybe Tat Stone's to sign some of these too, because I have the previous Darkwing Duck signed by Jim Cummings. And then Negaduck, it's exact same pose, different color. I would love to have it, but chase prices are just ridiculous.
Yeah. Friend of the show, Jason, he got one by luck of the draw. He only ordered one and
He
got it.
doesn't
I
even
don't know
like
if he
Funko Pops.
I don't know if he got it through Funko or if he got it off eBay.
He got off of eBay.
Okay.
And now he had to order one to get
Right.
a Darkwing, and he
Now I got to order 2.
told me if he got a second Negaduck that he'd trade me or something. So
There you go.
we'll work on that. But it's weird that they just made a coloration, and the box even says Darkwing Duck on it.
Oh, that's right.
With the picture of Darkwing Duck on it. So
Now, do we know that that's true on the one that he received?
Yes, yeah. So this is the same.
Okay.
That's what
So
it
it's
looks
an
like.
absolute chase. It's just different color.
Just different color. So, and I
Yeah.
actually like the Negaduck from the previous release better. He has like his, and the Darkwing one is just as good too. He just has his arms to his side.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just cool to get again. It's 2023. We got Darkwing Duck comics and we got Funko Pops. There's a that Diamond Select Toys gallery showcase figure is supposed to come out in March or April.
Yeah.
So it's just cool because who knows, maybe the comics is what is getting all this other stuff, all the merch pushed out, hopefully before a series where even more merch comes out. The other cool thing on the Darkwing Duck front with these Funko Pops is they came out with a t-shirt on Funko's website that has a Funko Pop Darkwing Duck.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I believe that is art from the Boom Studios Darkwing Duck #1, but in a
You're
Funko,
right.
but in a Funko Pop.
You are right.
So that is cool as well. The other Darkwing Duck merch, while we're talking about Darkwing Duck merch, is in September. This shop Disney's doing, it's the Disney 100-year celebration. So they're doing a decade series where each month, starting this month, they're going to go through like the 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. Well, the preview image for the 80s and 90s showed Rescue Rangers, and then the 90s one showed Darkwing Duck. So that's got to be a clue to something coming in September for the 90s release, and 80s we'll get Rescue Rangers, of course. So something to save up for.
Yeah. Now that'll be on shopdisney.com.
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if the Target stores, because like we have a Target that has a Disney store in it. I wonder if that will show up there.
It might. I feel like that with this decade series, it's all high end stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So probably not in the local Target. But again, I hope they could really do some cool stuff. And I know there's a lot of Darkwing Duck and Disney Afternoon fans in Disney consumer products. So we'll see what they come up with though.
Oh, hit my mic. Let's see. Oh, and then there's this thing. I mean, it's cool. I think it's cool, but just, something's not right.
The black and white Disney 100 Donald Duck Funko Pop.
But you know what? If you look back there at the box, the one in the box straight on doesn't look that bad. Maybe it's just the angle on this one.
Could be. And this is a Target exclusive. It'll be out on Target's website, I believe February 19th. So we'll post about that on Twitter when we see that release. But I'm buying this one, even though it looks weird.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put it next to the colored version that just came out. There's a new Darkwing. There's a new Donald Duck in color for Disney 100, and he's just doing some kind of mad pose. So I feel like them being next to each other would be a cool display.
Yeah. Yeah. The this brings to mind Tony and Selmo's going to be at Fanboy Expo in Knoxville this year, and comment below, should I take a DuckTales figure that's still in the packaging? What's that called? On card? That's what you call it, right? DuckTales Donald on card. Or I have something with some signatures from the show. Should I take that and get that signed? I can't decide.
I wouldn't bring this black and white Donald Duck Funko Pop.
Yeah, no. that one wouldn't fit. That's not. All right. That's all the slides we have. We made it before 2 hours.
Nice. In one take.
Nice. In one take. Well, we're not done yet. I've got to try to get to the music. We're trying some new things here nowadays. Let's see if we can pull this up. Oh, I guess I got to add it to the stream. Here we go. It's very finicky. It's probably too loud. You probably can't hear me, but thank you for watching, listening to this episode of Duck Talks. If you'd like to see more episodes of the show, let us know below. Make sure you're down in the comments. Hey, this is YouTube. You could always like this video. We would appreciate that. And if you subscribe, we'll try to keep you up to date with what's going on. Don't forget about DuckTalks.com. That's where all of our reviews go. Our podcast episodes are found there as well. Some of the more recent ones will be there later. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. You can find us on social media, mainly on Twitter at... Oh, the music stopped. I didn't time that right. Mainly at Duck Talks. And you can find me at Infinirama616.
And I'm at The Pirate Steven.
Until next time.
Stay dangerous.